I don't think
Are we
so.
live? Yes, we are. So hello and welcome to another episode of Gigsy Creator Central. As you can see, this is absolutely not scripted, not practiced at all. And we have a very, very special individual who's going to be introducing another eminent creator on the Gigsy platform. And without much ado, Vikram Parthan, CEO and co-founder of Gigsy India. Over to you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to interview a very, very special person. And I've known Ranga, Mr. Srinivasan Ranganathan, very affectionately known as Ranga, for more than a year now. I think it's more than a year, Ranga.
Absolutely, it looks longer, but
yeah. So it's been a wonderful few months and a great association over a period of time, and I'm very happy to do this interview. It gives me a lot of pleasure because some way or the other, I'm probably on the same path as he is, although I'm yet to figure out what I'm doing. But yeah, I think Ranga provides a lot of inspiration for any people from all sorts of walks of life, whether you're a youngster or whether you're at the other end of the age spectrum, it doesn't really matter. He's got a lot of useful thoughts and a lovely set of philosophies to share. So without any further ado, let me quickly introduce Ranga for people who do not know him in this room. He is very, very aligned and completely aligned to the vision of Dr. Kalam of Developed India. He is a very renowned and very famous life coach and mentors several senior leaders and entrepreneurs in the corporate world in India and abroad. He's also a visiting professor at ISB Hyderabad in the leadership space. He runs his own NGO as well. It's called the Inside Out Foundation. He runs this along with his better half, Ms. Meena. And this is oriented towards actually building India. And a couple of additional anecdotes that I would like to talk about, Mr. Ranga. Number one, him and his wife both met at IIM Bangalore where they did their MBA. Is that right, Mr. Ranga? I'm assuming. Yeah, and he also holds a postgraduate degree from IIT Madras in mathematics as well. So any number related stuff, he's beyond, all of that. He's also a mentalist. So, I mean, it's like a bunch of skills coming into one, a proper Swiss knife. So thank you so much, Ranga, for coming on board today. How are you feeling?
I'm doing great, absolutely great. Thanks a ton for this opportunity. Just one small addition to what he said. It is not true that I met my wife at IIM. We were married before we entered IIM. We were the first.
Oh, yes.
The first couple to enter IIM. Though many couples usually come out of IIM, we kind of entered. So that's a small addition to what he said. And it's amazing to be with you all. It's a great, journey that I've had with Gigsy. Vikram, thanks a ton for giving me this opportunity, and thanks to each one of you who have invested your time and planning to spend this hour with me. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
It's our pleasure, Ranga, and it's going to be great to hear your perspectives about how one can actually follow their passion and even monetize it over a period of time. And that is what Gigsy is all about. It gives you a lovely, easy to use technology platform for you to actually run your passion business and actually monetize it as well. Yes. So without any further ado, I'd quietly get down into the interview. Ranga, are you ready?
And before that, I just have one quick announcement. If at any point of time Vikram does drop out, I will be switching over as backup. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to humbly request each and every single participant to please type out your questions in the chat box. Whenever possible, Mr. Ranga can answer them, or perhaps we can have a Q&A section. But sometimes questions and ideas are fleeting. So as soon as you get them, just type them out and we will move it ahead. All right?
Yeah, and Arvind, you'll also be saving this chat box file, right? In case we miss out some questions, we can always come back.
Certainly.
All right, thank you. Wonderful. Vikram,
all yours.
All yours.
Super. So I'm going to take it away now. Ranga, I'm going to start with a very, very famous question that a lot of our creators end up asking us. And one of those questions, and this is number one on the list, what are the main fears that individuals have that actually stop them from pursuing their passion? Maybe they're in a suffocated career today and they're just, very happy having this little stream of income coming on a monthly basis. But ultimately there is some sort of mental block or a set of fears that actually stops people from pursuing their passion and monetizing it, and ultimately living a life of fulfillment. What do you think these fears are, and how do you think this actually pans out?
Okay, it's going to be a slightly elaborate answer, okay? Before I actually start answering that question in terms of sharing my perspectives, let me first explain to you what I understand by passion. Okay, because this word is used very often, and many people think that being energetic, shouting, etc. is passion. I think we just need to understand what passion is. Passion is something where if you are engaged in something and you lose time, that's passion. Okay, that means you don't see time fly. You spent about an hour, and then you don't know that you spent 1 hour. Something that gives you very, very, very high energy. At the end of it, you feel charged. You spend time 3 hours and you don't come back feeling tired. You come back feeling charged. Then you're on your passion zone. Okay, so that's the first thing that we need to understand, because a lot of people say, Ranga, I have a passion, but then you ask them a few questions, they'll say, okay, can I look at something else? Right? So I think first we need to understand that. Okay. Second, we cannot talk of fear without actually talking of aspirations or desires. There are too many desires we have. Many of them are just passing desires. Like I see a BMW pass by and I say, oh, how I wish I had that car. That's just a passing desire. It's not too much deep into me, right? So many of the desires are passing desires, but there are some desires that stick with us. And we want to do it, and we want to do it desperately. And it keeps coming back and back and back and back. It keeps coming back. How much ever you try to suppress it, it just keeps coming back. Now, those are possibly things that I think we should work towards, see if we can get it gratified. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of saying gratification? That means we need to do something to make sure that it doesn't just stay as a desire and it actually happens. Okay. Now, it can be a simple world tour, or it can be starting your own business, or it can be starting your own NGO, getting into social space, or whatever. So, an aspiration is something for which I think we are willing to put in our heart and soul and really put a lot of hard work to be able to achieve it. Right? Now, what's important to note, I always give this analogy in different sessions that I do. If you see a lion and deer chase in Discovery Channel or National Geographic, you will find that the deer usually wins the race. The reason is lion is running out of a desire, but whereas the deer is running out of fear. Now, the first thing we need to understand, I'm just linking it back to your question. The first thing we need to understand in the human system is fear is a more dominant energy than ambition. I think we need to understand this really well. Now, fear is a far more dominant energy than ambition. That's one of the reasons many people don't do what they actually wanted to do, and they're actually capable of doing it. Okay, and they were at the end of the day stuck with insecurity, right? So, and some kind of fear. So first we need to, once we get this picture, then we look at a set of fears. Okay, that is your question, right? I just set the context for the question. Now, what are the top fears that people have? Okay. To put it in a very spiritual sense, everybody has a greed to become somebody. And everybody carry the fear of becoming nobody. When I really want you to reflect on this statement, okay? Everybody has a greed to become somebody, but everybody has a fear that they may end up becoming nobody. Now, I think if you actually see the human psychology and you see what is driving somebody, everybody will not just want success for themselves, but they want some kind of an external recognition of that success as well. Right? Now, the biggest fear that people have is whether am I not going to reach the level at which the external world looks up at me and they perceive me. Right? Now, whereas if I'm passionate about something and I'm just engaged in doing it, and I'm really not care about what the rest of the world is thinking of me, it's a different story. But here, unfortunately, I want that success, or I want something which the world right? So I think the first fear, biggest fear that people have is what would the society think of me? Okay. Now this fear has to be addressed. Right? At some point we need to say it doesn't really matter what someone thinks of me. I think what I think of myself is far more important than what someone thinks of me. Right? Because I'm doing something for myself. At the end of the day, I want to be happy. I want to be joyous. I want to be energetic. Right? So it doesn't matter what the rest of the world is going to think of me. So if you ask me on top of the list, what's the biggest fear that people have? The biggest fear that people have is what will the society tell? Will the society approve of what I'm doing? Right. Now, I think this will come to how to handle the fear maybe a little later, Partha. Is it okay? You just asked me to list a few fears. So I just thought I'll first list them. Okay. Second fear, according to me, that people have is fear of poverty. Okay, when I say fear of poverty, what I mean is I'm not actually talking about really being poor. No, I'm talking about not having sufficient financial strength to be able to lead a very dignified life in, So there's a second large fear that people carry is the fear of poverty. Unfortunately, the ambition of being rich is weak as compared to the fear of poverty. As I said, fear is a far more dominating emotion. Okay, so second fear that people do have is the fear of poverty, and they find it very, very difficult to overcome this. So they suppose, say, somebody is working for a job and they're getting a regular salary. Okay? They're used to that salary and they have planned their expenses. Now they are unwilling to let go of that because they don't know how to handle the situation if that money is not going to be there. Now, if you break it down, how much ever people may say money is not important, I think a lot of things is important in life, etc. But the actual inherent fear that they have is related to money. Okay, so I think that's the second fear that people have, the fear of poverty. According to me, the third fear that people have is the fear of ridicule, being ridiculed. A lot of people say fear of failure. It's not. It's not fear of failure. It's actually fear of being ridiculed when I fail. Now imagine a society where, okay, you are actually appreciated if you fail. Just imagine a society. Imagine, say, a home where a child comes back failing in an exam and the parents actually cut a cake and celebrate. Imagine such a home. Right? It's not going to happen. In fact, we have homes where a child comes with 98 or 100 and the parents ask the child, where did you lose the 2 marks? Right? So we are living in a society where success is acknowledged more and failure is not. So if you actually see, people are not afraid of failing. They are afraid of being ridiculed on failing. Okay? So the third main fear, according to me, is fear of being ridiculed. And fear of failure is something that's derived from fear of being ridiculed. Right? Yeah. The fourth and possibly the last fear I would like to say in the top list of my 4 fears is, I think it's fear of being embarrassed. I mean, you possibly may not have heard of this. I'm not getting into the spiritual domain and talk about fear of death and so on. That's all at a different plane. Maybe we'll have another session where we talk about that. But I'm saying fear of being embarrassed. See, this embarrassment, people just don't know how to handle it. Seriously. It's amazing that if you're embarrassed, observe people carefully. If you're embarrassed with a group of people, generally we avoid going to that group once again because I got embarrassed once. Right? People don't know how to handle embarrassment. So one of the things that people have is fear of being embarrassed, and these are the top 4 fears, according to me, which definitely requires to be addressed if someone is seriously contemplating about living one's passion and being joyous at all times. Okay, these are 4 fears that require to be addressed. Sorry for a very elaborate answer.
No, perfect, Ranga. I think I am very aligned with this whole fear thing, right? I mean, it's one of the most driving factors for people to actually not pursue their passion. And so I'm in complete agreement on that front with you. I would just like to format the entire webinar today in a certain manner, where we finish answering one question and then we quickly take questions from the audience on the same topic so that we stick to it, and then we move on to the succeeding question immediately.
Sure.
Yeah?
It's your call. It's your call.
Yeah.
You want to open the chat box?
Yeah. So I'm just looking at the chat box already.
I've not opened the chat box.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it. One of the questions that seems to be coming here is, how do we overcome the fear of poverty? We do have the fear of poverty, but how do we overcome it?
So in fact, I would like to answer the question of how to overcome each of those fears, maybe subsequently. Is it okay? So
that's fine, Ranga. You can go down the card directly, no problem.
Sure. Carry on. Anything else?
That's the only question for now. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. So let me address this because I'm very, very happy that this is the first question that came up. Okay, believe me, I'm very delighted. Right? The attitudes, the mindsets that people have towards money is very funny. Okay, because they don't look at money as a very useful resource or as a tool. let me say that, it's taboo to talk about money to children. It's like saying money is important, but let me not talk about it. Let me just hush be about it. But whether it's an entrepreneurial venture you're running, or whether it's a home you're running, or whether it's even a charity house that you're running, you're managing a church, you're managing a temple, you're managing a charity home. I don't think they can run without money. Right? I always give this example. In Shirdi Ashram, 1 lakh people eat every day. Assuming 100 rupee per food, you need 1 crore of rupee per day. Where is the money going to come from for that ashram to run? Right? So money is an extremely important resource and nothing more. Let's not give too much of importance to it as well. It's a very powerful resource and that can liberate you. Truly liberate you. Right? The company which is very rich in cash. Today, in fact, in COVID times, I'm handling many customers who are based all over the place. The biggest problem they have is, Ranga, we don't have sufficient cash. So we have to ask people to go because we can't pay salaries to people. That means they have not built cash. Right? So whether it's a family or whether it's a company or whether it's a nation. In fact, when Modi ji, Prime Minister rolled out that huge, benefits, people are asking, where is the money going to come from? You're giving so much out. Okay, so let me handle this question of fear of poverty. Now, not just fear of poverty. There is one technique that I would like to talk to you about how to handle fear in general. Any fear. It can be fear of water, it can be fear of heights, or it can be fear of being ridiculed, the 4 fears that I talked about. Fear as an element, how do you handle it? Very, very simple and powerful technique is convert a fear into a set of risks to be managed. Let me repeat this. Convert every fear into a set of risks to be managed, because risk management is a scientific topic. It's a logical topic, right? So if you say you're afraid to be poor, you're having fear of poverty, very simple. Take an Excel sheet and put on yourself what do you need and how are you going to get whatever you need and what is the fastest manner you're going to get them legally and ethically. Put down certain factors in place. How are you going to manage the risk of you losing salary? How are you going to manage the risk of you losing your job? How are you going to manage the risk of you losing your limbs? Right? Break down every fear into a set of risks to be managed, which people don't do. Right? And the moment you take an Excel sheet and put in all the risks that you need to manage, I think fear slowly vanishes because you are now using an intellect, a rational faculty to handle an emotional issue called fear. Is it okay? So first concept on fear is convert your fear into a set of risks that you need to handle. And for each risk, you make a Excel sheet entry or a Word document entry saying this is my mitigation mechanism. First. Second, once I know these are the risks that I need to manage, people talk about how do I control my expenses to manage. For example, today due to COVID situation, a lot of people have lost jobs. A lot of people have reduced salaries. A lot of people are not sure whether next month's salary is going to come or not. So everybody, what they're doing is they're shrinking their expenses. But I would rather say don't shrink your expenses, increase your revenue. Okay. Now, what's the meaning of increasing my revenue? I am employed in a job. Now, yes, you are employed in a job. I think many people within the framework of their boundaries, they are not looking at what are the alternate ways by which they can generate money. Many people don't look at it. In fact, even if contract that prevents you from working for a competitor, believe me, some of the clauses will bind you, yes, but not all clauses. There are always things that you can do. For example, if I'm very good at teaching mathematics, maybe weekend I take classes and I can generate money out of it. If I'm very good at making posters, I log into one website and register myself as a resource, and anybody who is having a requirement for a poster will come in and I pick up that and I deliver posters to people. Right? If I'm good at, say, teaching music, weekend I can conduct classes on music and I can make money. So I think one of the biggest mistakes that people do, according to me, is they are restricting themselves with only one source of revenue. And the moment you expose yourself to only one source of revenue, you are at a huge risk. So the first response that I would possibly give to everybody is, I think consider multiple sources of revenue, including, for example, today with a simple mobile phone, you can do a lot of stock trading. Okay. Look at, evaluate your own mindsets related to stocks. You may think stock market is a casino. Maybe that mindset is stopping you from doing it. Today, investing a very little time, I think you can definitely generate good amount of money using stock trading. So there are multiple channels today available, more than 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Today, huge amount of channels are available. I know a kid who is in 4th standard making a lot of money. You know how? By reviewing toys online. So companies which manufacture toys, before the toys are released in the market, they want a set of kids to review the toys, and this kid has registered itself. So they send a copy of the toy to a set of 100 kids, and that kids reviews the toys, plays the game, and gives feedback and gets paid for it. Okay. Today there are people who are converting audio files into text and making money. So authors who can't write, they just talk it out on audio tape, send the MP3 file. There is a person who patiently listens to it and transcribes it, makes money out of it. So if you look at it, there are 100 different ways by which you can generate money. I would actively request everybody, consider many channels of revenue. I think your fear of money will go away. Fear of money does not go away by meditation. Fear of money goes away by earning. Fear of money does not go away by praying. No, fear of money goes away by earning. We need to have a lot of money. And I think that would be my first suggestion to people. Don't shrink your expenses, expand your revenue. Anything else?
Great. Couple of other things, Ranga. Mr. Ishwaran, who's also a creator on Gigsy, he has asked a question, and that question is, there is also fear of losing money before starting a business or investment, and this keeps people from starting at all. There is also risk involved. How can we overcome this? I think you sort of, got into some specifics, but broader question, just stating the questions that I'm seeing right now. The second point is, I want to ask about the first fear, what others would say. Can you elaborate or how to overcome what others would say, right? Okay. So, yeah, 2 questions so far.
Right, all right. Let me address the first part. Even before I start, I have the fear of losing. Right? Now, this fear may come from some conditioning. Okay, right from childhood, if you are told you are useless, you're useless, you're useless, the child carries the feeling that I'm useless. So whenever a child starts something, the child starts to feel that I'm a loser. So it can happen because of conditioning. It can happen because of your past experience. Maybe you started a few entrepreneurial ventures and it didn't go well. It can happen because of experiences. It can happen because of experiences of people who are closely connected with you. For example, maybe your father or brother is a serial entrepreneur and he's also a serial failure. Okay, so you've seen near and dear people failing, right? So it can happen due to multitudes of reasons. One reason is conditioning, right, from childhood. Second reason could be, you have the direct experience of it. Third reason is you have an indirect experience of it. A very simple way to handle this is, what can you lose? Put it down on a sheet of paper. I'm very serious about this suggestion. You'll possibly hear me say this several times. There is a big difference between having something in your mind and putting something on the paper. There seems to be something happening there. The moment you put something on paper, suddenly your mind seems to think that you're far more serious and a lot of clarity has started to emerge. So open an Excel sheet and say, what all can you lose? You can lose your revenue. You can lose your customers. You can lose your employees. You can lose your credibility. What all can you lose? Make a list of things that you can lose. And give a list of strategies for how will you make sure that you don't lose them. Believe me, your intellect is very superior. You don't need a coach. You don't need anybody from external to guide you. Your intellect is very superior. All you need to do is give it a structure. Give it a structure for thinking. The moment you start taking a paper and start putting this, for every possible loss, you have some 3 or 4 strategies. Your mind will automatically start to feel confident. So this is my response to your first question. Even before you start, if you feel that you're going to lose, take a sheet of paper and that is your answer. Start putting down everything that you can lose, and then have your own strategies for making sure that you don't lose them. Or even if you lose them, how will you recover? And once you have it, I think your confidence will boost up. In fact, I am frankly, Vikram, I'm against any kind of pep talk.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Talk will not work. For example, come on, you will succeed. He gets more irritated, yeah? Because the problem he's facing is a real problem, right? So his motivation of pep talk and going and listening to somebody or reading a self-help book is not going to help. I think best thing is handle it and handle it objectively with intellect, with data. I think it will work. Put down everything on an Excel sheet. I think it will work.
I think the bottom line is to action on what your strengths are, right? And see what are those strengths that you can actually leverage instead of just mopping and looking for areas of motivation.
Yes.
Be more action oriented, look at what you're doing, be in the moment and see if you can actually leverage your strengths and do something out of it.
Absolutely. In fact, beautiful point. Leverage your strength. Wonderful point. It's as much important to know our limitation and accept it also. See, there is a difference between limitation and weakness. Weakness can be overcome. Limitation cannot be. Okay, because that's very inherent. You need to put in too much effort to come over a limitation, right? Now, maybe the effort is not worth it. I'll give you an example here. Tiger Woods, who is #1 golfer, okay? When it comes to taking a ball from the sandpit, he was so he was looking for a coach. Okay. Would have overcome it. I think you would have overcome it. The fact that you have not overcome it so far indicates that it is not your weakness, it is your limitation. So I don't want to work on that at all. I would rather teach you not you won't know how to come out of it. So I will possibly help you, coach you in not getting into a sandpit. So I think limitations, know your strengths, know your limitations, and work around it. I think you will be able to make it. Thank you. Thanks for this talk.
One more question, Ranga, before we move on to the other topics. I'm sorry we may not be able to cover all questions for a certain, all questions for question. It might become a little as a result. So
creation, everyone is created unique. Okay. A very powerful quotation by Osho, which has stuck with me, is you're not superior to anybody, you're not inferior to anybody, you're not equal to anybody also, you're not equal to anybody also, you are just unique. Right? Each of us is running in our own, and this rest of the people with whom we are only related, that's it. But otherwise, we are running an individual track and we are running an individual race. Right? We are only there. Nobody else is there in that track, and nobody else can get into that track. Second, accept the reality that human beings have been given the attribute of self-consciousness. What's the meaning of self-consciousness? An animal doesn't have it. A tree doesn't have it. We compare ourselves with others. Whether others or not is different. We compare ourselves with others. That attribute has been built into human beings at birth itself. You can't remove that from you. Right? I look at myself in the mirror and I look at myself compared with somebody else and I say, hey, I'm not as handsome as that guy. Right? I look at myself and say, you know what, I'm not as tall as that guy. My skin color is bad. So we get into this self-comparison because we have been given this attribute of self-consciousness, which animal doesn't have. My Guruji used to give this example. A black cow does not feel inferior to a white cow. It goes about grazing. Right? But whereas we guys keep comparing. So I think if you really want to handle the fear of ridicule, handle the fear of what would the society tell about me? What will the society think about me? If you want to handle this, first and foremost, it's a difficult thing I'm going to suggest. I think we need to first accept ourselves as I think we are unique, and that's it. There's nobody else like me. Or to put it in your language, Vikram Patan, who is a technical language, each one is a singleton. Right? There is no second instance. There is no second instance of us. Right? First, a deep understanding has to come within us that I think I am fine as I am, right? With whatever it is. Yeah. And once that deep understanding comes, no matter what the rest of the world says, the rest of the world may say you're short, you're fat, you're bad, you're useless. The rest of the world say anything. What is the self-talk you're doing to yourself? The rest of the world is talking to your mind. What are we talking to our mind? I think that becomes very, very important. So the best way to handle ridicule, the best way to handle bothering about the opinions of the rest of the world is every day getting to a very beautiful 10-minute activity of doing positive self-talk. Okay. Saying, I think I'm fine. I think once you start doing this on a daily basis and do this for about, say, 30 days, 40 days, you will realize that, yes, you are willing to take feedback from someone, but you're not really overtly bothered about the ridicule of someone. Because others have their own perceptions from which they ridicule you. Yeah. In fact, Robin Sharma, who wrote the book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari and became very popular for that book, he says very clearly, when you set your goals, how do you test out whether the goals are ambitious or not? He says, tell it to a few people. Till they ridicule you, it is not ambitious. Okay? When they ridicule you and say, hey, come on, it's impossible, man. Then you say, yeah, I think I'm okay. Right? And believe me, there's a beautiful, beautiful movie called The Pursuit of Happiness. I'm sure you must have seen that movie. Where he says very clearly, when people tell you you can't do it, you know what they mean? They are actually telling you they can't do it. There's a beautiful dialogue in the movie. When people tell you you can't do it, they actually mean that they can't do it. So don't bother a lot about what the rest of the world says. I think more than that, I think we need to start developing our self-esteem, and the self-esteem can be developed by a very positive self-talk, irrespective of the rest of the world. The rest of the world may bombard you with negative thoughts. But 10 minutes, dedicated 10 minutes, where you're alone and you keep telling your mind, I think I'm okay, I'm fine as I am. I think that will really help in handling your fear of ridicule. Second is a very simple technique. Okay. How many people do we need in our lives? We don't need too many people. And there are people who pride in saying that, Ranga, you know what, in LinkedIn, I have 3,500 connections. How many of them will wait in front of the ICU if you have a heart attack? Nobody. So what are we talking about? We don't need many people in life. So recognizing that everybody's opinion is of no use. There are only one or two people who matter in your life, and I think you should bother about their opinions. Realizing the fact that most of the world is actually just there. Okay? Right? So let's not bother too much about it. So the second technique is choose the circle to be in. Okay. I've asked many people. Some people tell me, Ranga, I am part of 125 WhatsApp groups. Then I say, why can't you exit from the group? I said, just in case, yeah, it's okay. I said, just in case what? You don't want to be missed. You don't want to miss anything. Right? In fact, we have to choose. So I think fear of ridicule can be overcome very nicely if you choose a circle correctly. Make sure that you are in a circle where you're valued. And that circle can be within the family, the circle can be outside the family. It doesn't matter. Just circle of people, that's it. Who really matter to you, and restrict yourself there. I think fear of ridicule will automatically go because ridicule itself will start coming down. People will give you opinions, perspectives, whether you ask or not. In India, advice is free. Enjoy. Okay. Anything else?
I just want to add a point to what you said. Coming from a space of spirituality, one of the things that sort of sets us back is the fact that we have these random thoughts, right? Thoughts that take either side of the spectrum, either positive or negative, generated by the mind, of course, right? Uh, I believe that the moment we realize that we are the observers of these thoughts and not the thoughts themselves, we are in a situation where we are able to get to know our complete potential. I think the more and more we start getting identified with these thoughts and don't look at them as a subject-object relationship, I think that is when the whole thing starts going down the drain. Just a bit of a thought that I had. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let me add a technical term that's called Sakshi Bhava. Excellent. Lovely. Anything else, Vikram? Let's go to your agenda.
Yes. So we'll move on to the next question. In fact, I'll actually combine the next two questions because they are a little similar. What I'll particularly ask is, should I follow my passion even though I wouldn't earn enough from it? And how long would it take for a creator to make a full living out of passion? So bit of connectedness. One is basically talking about the fact that will I be able to earn enough? And the other one is talking about the fact that how long will it take for me to get to a sufficient level of earning?
Okay, how long? I think it is 3 months, 22 days, 5 hours, and 7 minutes.
And some 40 seconds on top of that. Yeah.
So, how long is something that you and I cannot answer that question? I think it is up to them, right? Okay, let me answer this question a little differently. Let's look at 3 variables, Vikram. Energy, time, money. Okay, let's look at these 3 variables: energy, time, and money. When I'm a child, I have a lot of energy, I have a lot of time, no money. So I want to go to Disneyland, I want to freak out, I want to buy this toy, I want to buy this chocolate. I'm dependent on my parents and I don't have the money. I have energy, I have time. Okay. Then I go through school, then I start working. I am 25, 26, 30, 32, whatever. A lot of money is coming, so money is there, energy is there, okay? No time. Absolutely no time, right? Now, one variable has added, another variable has got subtracted, okay? So time, there is no time. And I've heard people say, Ranga, it's long time since I took a break. I said, how long? They said 3 years. I worked very hard. Okay, now what? Yeah, I'm just thinking whether I should take my wife for a holiday. I always tell people, please take your wife for a vacation before she divorces you. That's too late. Okay, so I think middle age is somewhere where we have a lot of money, we have a lot of energy, but we don't have the time. Right now, slowly we move on and we start working for ourselves. We start working for the family. We start working for our extended family. We start working, and there's somebody else who's doing charity. So I also want to do charity. You know, we are always comparing ourselves with other people, right? Because of the self-consciousness aspect, right? So at the end of it, we are around 50, 52. We're just nearing retirement. Corpus is there. I have about 3 crore corpus invested beautifully in mutual funds and everything. I have a lot of time now because I've taken a voluntary retirement. I have time, I have money, I have no energy. I just want to stay at home and just enjoy it. Right? Now, I think this is a paradox. Right? Look at 3 Venn diagram, like 3 circles: energy, time, and money. How do you reach that middle part where all the 3 circles intersect? Right? Should I go through my passion even though it's not going to give me money? No. Then you will have a problem. Because you know what? You have a family already. Right? You may have a family. I'm not saying you will. You may have a family. And the children education, the EMI for the house, the are going to come. The real bills are going to come. So how long will you say, Ranga, you know what? I am actually passionate and I am in my passion zone, but my family is very unhappy with me. Of course they'll be unhappy with you. They'll ask you, when did you get married? Okay. You're working on your dream. What about our dreams? Forget about our dreams. Our survival is an issue. Okay. Fine. So I think money, energy, time is a wonderful thing. And if you ask me where you should begin attacking, any guess, Martin? Any guess, Vikram? Out of the 3 circles, where should I handle first?
Now, I would say start now, which is time right now, and instead of postponing things going forward.
That's one, absolutely. There is no real time saying that, at the age of 32, you should, at the age of 42, this. Out of the 3 circles, I would recommend that you act in the circle called money first. Because that is sensible. An example, live example. A participant of mine in a workshop told me that he's working. I've not been able to quit my job. I said, I said, how long have you been sitting with this idea? He said, about 5-7 years now. I said, why you have not quit your job? He said, the salary is only so strong. I only do, I have a wife, I have 2 kids, education. I said, why do you come to me? The first thing he told me, Ranga, but please don't give me any pep talk or gyan or bhashan because I've listened to enough of it. I said, I'm not going to give you a bhashan. Come with your Excel sheet. This is a live example I'm giving you, Partha. So he came with this Excel sheet. I said, open your laptop, open an Excel sheet. The first column, write down this. What's your monthly expense? Number and double it. So double it became you have a product idea. So you will need generate revenue out of this product. I said, excellent. Write 6 months in the next row and write double it and write it as safe number. Okay. So 12 months. Then you know what I told? 12 months, 1 lakh per month. So you need 12 lakhs and the 12 lakhs is the value of your fear. First time somebody quantified fear for him. Fear of losing the job. I told him 12 lakhs is the value of your fear. He said, oh my God. Then I asked him how much savings you have. He said 3 lakhs. I said, excellent, your fear has come down. Can you raise 9 lakhs somehow? He went back, he spoke to his father, he was only child. And his father said, I have a few sites, maybe you can pledge one site and take a loan. One site itself was fetching him something like about 75 lakhs. He quit the job, public sector man, he quit the job. You know what he did? I told him, create a savings bank account. Make your wife fast. What does your wife do? She's working? No, she's not working. Okay. Give her the debit card and credit card of the bank. Put in 12 lakhs there. Tell her not to disturb you for 1 year. And she can withdraw 1 lakh per month. He did that. He created a savings bank account, made his wife and gave the debit card and credit card and told his wife, I'm starting my own, don't disturb me for a year. Okay. His wife, on the other hand, started thinking, my husband is starting his own. I think I must be very careful with expenses. So that 50,000 expense also started coming to 40,000, 30,000. She started pruning. And this guy is thinking, you know what, I'm putting my family at risk. I don't think I should take 6 months. I should generate revenue more often. So he worked 24 hours. Now the difference is he's working for himself. He's not working for the bank anymore, right? He started generating revenue 4 months. I am proud to say that his business after 7 years was worth nearly 20 crores. He was earning a piddly salary in the bank. Right? See, I would like to quote here what Mark Twain said. 90% of my fears were only anxieties. It never happened. Right? So I think I would say the 3 circles, energy, time, and money, I would say attack it at the money level first. Make sure that your money is safe. At least your first level of safety is taken care. Second level of safety is taken care. Once your first and second level of safety is taken care, I think there is no better time than now.
One quick additional point there. Yeah. If we actually sort of extrapolate data and put all of the fears that we've had over a period of time,
right,
I think it'll be very interesting to see how many of those fears actually end up coming through.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, one person told me, I was afraid that my wife will divorce me. They lived together for 70 years. And he told me that my wife was also living with the same fear. So we ended up living together. Right. So I think if you carefully see, many of the fears don't come true. I would say out of the 3 circles, attack it at the money level first. So that money-wise you're safe. And money-wise you're safe, there is some kind of a release that happens in your mind. You can think freely. Otherwise, you get really suffocated. Financial pressure is the biggest suffocator in the world.
Absolutely.
You can figure out, maybe you can figure out what are the other sources of revenue that I have. I'm talking about legally and ethically, okay? Not robbing a bank or hitting somebody. I'm saying legally and ethically, you make sure that you earn that money very quickly, or maybe if you're inheriting wealth, check, maybe there is an uncle or aunt who is planning to leave out some wealth. Maybe you could go and ask them to leave it before. Right? So, I mean, there can be many legal and ethical ways by which you can get that, but I think when you attack it, then you will get into your passion zone fast. Second, this question is very close to my heart. Is it okay for me to be in the passion zone even when it is not giving me money? I think that's a question, right? Is it okay for me to work with my passion even if it is not giving me money?
Yeah.
Please don't. Please don't. For you to say yes, you must already have a lot of money. Right? Now, if you have tons of money and you're sitting on a huge pile of wealth, which takes care of your life till you're 80, then don't mind, just stay inside house and start playing guitar, which you love to hear. No problem. You can't play outside because others can't hear, only you can hear. You think you're good, others are not. Okay? So it can be a passion zone. So watch out. I think until we are financially stable, it's very, very risky to get into a passion which does not give you money. Now, having said that, let me also say this. Many people have this wrong myth in their mind that for money, I need to do something that I don't love to do. And if I do something that I love to do, that can't give me money. Sorry, both are wrong. In fact, you can do something that you love to do and you can make sure that you get huge money paid for it. That's possible. There is a hairdresser in Bombay who does hair cutting for Shah Rukh Khan kind of people. You have to take an appointment 3 months before. And once you take an appointment, his assistants come. You have to have your own scissors and everything. They sterilize it and keep it ready. The guy just comes, does a little bit of trimming here and there and charges something like about 10K or 25K and goes out. It's the same haircut. It's the same haircut. What we pay 60 bucks and 100 bucks. That's his passion. He knows about hair much more than anybody else in the planet. Like they say about Gillette, they know about blades more than what anybody else knows. Right? But how is he generating so much money out of it? So I think it's a wrong notion that if it is passion, it won't give me money. Sorry. I think if you really apply your mind to say, it is my passion, and so I'm going to be the best. So it's going to be the best quality, and best quality always demands best money, isn't it? Right? Then why are we looking at lesser money? No. I think that myth has to be broken in the mind. I'm done.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A couple of questions coming out of the same conversation, Ranka. One is there a template for this whole Excel sheet? Can that template be shared? That is one. And the other one being, how do I help someone who has lost hopes due to failed attempts and incurred losses? How do you make that person think positively? I've been requested to talk to that person and encourage this person, right? So two large questions on that. And the third one, which I think is related, how do we know if we have enough money for retirement?
How much is enough is for that person to say, right? Though I can give a very broad thumb rule because I don't want to run away by saying it all depends on you. I'll give you a broad thumb rule. Okay. Take this as just a thumb rule. Let me address that last question first. As of today, if your monthly expenses is around ₹1,00,000, as of today, because tomorrow there is inflation, right? So as of today, if your monthly expenses is ₹1,00,000, which will increase as per inflation and other things. As of today, if your monthly expenses is ₹1,00,000, and assuming you and you want to be independent, okay, I think you need a corpus. Sorry, it may scare some of you, but I have to be very honest here. You require a minimum corpus of 6 crores. If you don't have the 6 crores, you are at risk. Okay, you need to start depending on somebody, right? Maybe if some of you are interested, you could connect with me after this session. We have a group of people who are called the financial freedom experts in my own group. We are a group of about 10, 12 people. Any of us can help you there. Okay? We do it as more a social service. to bring the country forward as far as economics is concerned, right? So maybe after the session, if some of you are interested, reach out to me. I'll connect you to somebody who will spend a little time with you, helping you work it out far more detailed. Right? Is it okay, Vikram?
Absolutely, absolutely, Ranga. Absolutely.
Just a quick thumb rule of 6 crores. Second question, if somebody has some failed attempts, how do I motivate that person? Because I have been asked to talk to that person. Yeah, it's a risk talking to demotivated people because sometimes instead of you motivating them, they end up demotivating you. Right? So you come back very depressed, right? I think my suggestion is avoid pep talk. Avoid telling them, so what if you fail once? It's okay. A lot of people have failed. It's all right. No, don't do that, please, because he needs real solution. So the best part, I mean, the easiest and simplest way of handling this is get a document opened in front of him, ask him to list down his analysis of the reasons why he failed, and ask him how he would avoid each of those zones of failure, right? And ask him what he wants to do now and how he will plan for making sure that he doesn't fail. So I think you have to convert that into a very rational, scientific exercise. And when you do that, I think he or she will get automatically motivated, right?
Got it. Yeah, I'm here.
I know there's a power problem, but you suddenly, the host has become the ghost.
Yeah, so I had to sort of bring some artificial lighting to make sure that my face is seen. Yeah. So
I am here in case you need.
Yeah. So I'm just trying whatever I can right now. So a couple of things. One is when you're following your passion, what are the important things that you need to consider before you believe that it is going to be safe? And apparently, Ranga, during this conversation, you also told first attack the money, right? Is there anything else to make it success too? And this is coming from a person called Kanteti Sirisha. Yeah.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I didn't understand. Is there anything other than money? Is there?
So one is, what are the important things that you need to consider before you believe that it is safe to follow your passion, right? And I think we've touched upon that during the previous conversation already. The follow-up question is, you also said that first you attack the money portion, right? The money lever, so that you start becoming more comfortable. I don't understand the last line. It says, is there anything else to make it success too? So not too sure, but if Sirisha, if you want to quickly, verbalize your question in your own way, I think it'll be useful so that Ranga can answer that.
Yeah, hi Vikram. I'm sorry to, post it in a wrong way. One thing I got it is, thrash the money aspect, be clear on what you want and where you want. And passion anyways will tell you that, it'll reach you heights if you're really passionate. That I could get it. So apart from, when you're taking your career as, which aligns with your passion, apart from the money aspect, is there something else that, a big checks kind of thing which you have to consider to be in safe zone?
Safe from what angle? Safe from money angle or any other zone?
Money, yes, you told. Money, yes, you told. I one more understood from your talk is ecology, like your family and other commitments.
Yeah.
Right. So is there anything else as a person which I need to consider or check when I'm, leaving my job and following my passion?
Okay. Instead of elaborately answering your question, thanks for this question, Sirisha.
Yeah, Sirisha, thank you.
I think I would like to refer you to a book called Ikigai, if you have not read that book. It's a wonderful book which talks about,
Yes.
So just take a look at that book. I think that kind of lists a lot of things. But I would like to talk about a very important parameter. Okay? No offense meant to anybody. We normally have a tendency to overestimate ourselves, which means we may think that we are very competent, which we may not be. Okay? So I think if you ask me, if you want a tick box and I think you want to check it out for yourself, I think we need a very honest assessment of how competent I am in a highly competitive marketplace where I think there are hundreds and thousands of people who are possibly as competent as I am. So where do I stand with respect to them? So you need an honest assessment, not just a perception. You need a honest assessment of your skills, a very honest assessment of your temperament, your honest assessment of your level of information, knowledge that you have. Once you know that, benchmark it with what is required for you to be successful, really money-wise and otherwise in the field that you are passionate about. Once you get that in place, I think there's nothing to stop you after that. Seriously. Competence is, I found many people having a big bottleneck there. Second, within the competence, I would like to give a lot of importance to your particular competence. That competence is called handling your emotions. Many entrepreneurial ventures have failed not because of fear. In fact, the fact that it's a venture and somebody has already started it indicate that they don't have fear. Because if you have fear, you won't start it in the first place. So the emotion, single emotion that has destroyed entrepreneurial ventures is excitement. In fact, you'll be surprised to hear this. Actually, it is true. When we are excited, even that emotion requires to be managed. Because if you don't know how to manage excitement, if you don't know how to manage passion, you may end up taking very wrong decisions. Right? Look at a child at home. It knows when the father and mother is in a good mood or in an excited mood. It is at that time the child will come and tell you, Dad, I want this toy. Can you buy me this pen? Can you buy me this mobile phone? And they'll get it granted. The child knows that that's a moment when we can get something done, which is equally true when we as leaders in organizations, when we are highly excited is when a lot of things get lost. In fact, people have made financial blunders. I know of a friend of mine who had $5 million funding in one shot. Okay, he got $5 million funding and he spent half of it in a span of about a year. He doesn't even know where he spent it. The reason is he did not know how to handle excitement. Okay, so my request is, if you truly want to be successful, I think you must know how to handle your emotions, particularly emotions like fear, emotions like excitement. Right? Now, each emotion requires good moderation. If you don't know how to moderate an emotion, I think in spite of best financial background, in spite of being in the best market, in spite of having the best product, I think we will kill ourselves. I'm done, Vikram.
Right, Ranga.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So we will probably wrap up in the next 5 minutes, Ranga. I think we have a couple more questions, but we'll see if we can wrap up and also give a quick, a summary of what we spoke about today. This seems to be a very Gigsy specific question. What if after availing free content, my fans do not subscribe to me on Gigsy? Ranga, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I will definitely like to take this because see, Gigsy is a great idea, okay? And I'm very, emotionally connected to Gigsy because it's an Indian entrepreneur. And we are trying to create a global, world-class product, right? So I'm definitely having a bias towards Indian entrepreneurs succeeding in the global market, right? So there are multiple global opportunities, 7 global options available as competitors to Gigsy. But I think I would give all my energy to Gigsy and make sure that it is successful. Now, so Gigsy is a brilliant idea. But Gigsy is a platform and nothing more. Okay. Now, you log into platform and then you post some content and you have some fans. And if the fans don't come back to you or purchase your product, it's nothing to do with Gigsy. It's something to do with your engagement with your fans. If we don't have a social media strategy, if we don't have a good engagement plan with customers, I think we'll fail. It's bound to fail. Right now, I have a very small, token amount channel with Gigsy where I'm teaching core life skills to people. Right? I know I'm giving far higher value than what they pay for it, but I know very well that if I have to convert this into a following, convert this into a population with me, I need to really think deeply about social media marketing. I really invest money, time, and effort in making sure that I have a good strategy in place. And without this strategy in place, it will not happen by magic. No, it is purely dependent on your engagement strategy, nothing else.
Got it, Ranga. So also I would actually add on to that, to what Ranga said. In fact, on Gigsy, the moment you become a creator and the moment you start putting out content, you start getting very useful information on blogs and emails that actually tell you how to monetize your passion and improve your entire audience base as well, and see how you can even convert them into a paying audience. So all of this information is very, very readily available for creators who are already on Gigsy. So I would encourage you to check out Gigsy and become a creator if you so want to follow your passion, and it's absolutely free, right? The last question, I don't know if we have enough time. We'll take a couple of minutes for this though. Is taking the risk of leaving a settled job for following your passion worth it?
I don't think I can answer that question for anybody else other than for myself. Okay, because yes, there is a risk of leaving a good paying job. There is a risk. I think you should ask yourself why you are doing that, why you want to do this. I will just suggest a simple technique. Follow it and check it out if it works. The technique is called 5 why. 5 why is asking the question why 5 times. Very powerful technique. I want to quit my job. Why do you want to quit your job? Okay. I hate my manager. Then you got the answer. Then find another manager or find another company. Why do you want to start on your own? Right? Okay. I hate my job. Why? Because I want to do something on my own. Okay. Why do you want to do something on your own? Because I think I can make a lot of money being on my own. Okay. Why do you want to make a lot of money? Suddenly you get a blank. I don't know. Or if you don't know why you want to make money, don't leave your job, please. Right? I think you need to ask this question 5 times why. It's a very powerful way to understand whether you should take an action or you don't need to take an action. Yeah. So this is a very simple technique that I would like to suggest, and I would like to leave it at this.
Brilliant. Again, so I think we've come to the end of the session today. I think it's been extremely, extremely insightful, Ranga, across the board. I think we've combined a bunch of facets, be it spirituality, be it common sense, and be it also putting all of these things together in a nice little spreadsheet for you to plan your life a little better. Whether you understand whether you're able to monetize your passion, how do you financially plan for your life, how do you convert your passion into money, how do you make yourself safe, what are the kind of levers that you can use to make yourself safe before you actually go down your passion route, right? A bunch of things that we've actually spoken about today, and I would really like to thank you, Ranga, for getting onto this platform and helping us out with this lovely, lovely webinar. I think it's been eye-opening for a lot of people, and a lot of useful information that has come out of it. Thank you once again.
Yeah, one final thought I would like to leave the people with is, please seriously look at getting money into your kitty more. I think that's a starting point. Okay, which means you have a lot of skills that can be monetized. Look at it seriously. Right? Thank you. Wonderful. Namaskaram. Thank you. Pranams, everybody. God bless you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Have a beautiful life. Have a beautiful life.
Thank you.